Hi, I'm Anais Salas. I would love to share some information that has come to me via the Guardians, but I need to say some thank yous first. First of all, I would love to offer many, many thanks and a lot of gratitude to Christopher Comstock for doing what he does with KS Reality in the various ways in which he has taken on the quiet leadership of the communication channels for many newcomers to Keylontic Sciences and people like myself who have been introduced to Keylontic Sciences through my own independent relationship with the beloveds, with the guardians, which I've had my entire life. It is October of 2020, and in 2018, Chris and I had a long chat which was posted, I think, in KS Reality Talks, in which I shared my background. So if you search for that video, that conversation, you'll have some sense of where I'm coming from. Since that time, when we spoke in 2018, things have only become more dynamic, more interesting, more challenging, and more validating in terms of the information that I get through direct cognition with the beloveds and the information that has come through Keylontic Sciences, the MCEO teachings, and this wonderful opportunity to look at the options that are before us as we are in an ascension cycle. Now, first of all, there are a couple of assumptions I think that we may not agree on, but we could make based on the information for KS, Keylontic Sciences, for MCEO teachings, and for some of the things that unfolded after 2012. I'm going to focus on a specific issue, but I need to do a little bit of a preamble first, and thank you for listening. I would like to express my deepest gratitude for Ashayana Dean and Michael Dean for the work that they brought forward up together up and through the shield split. I would also like to thank Rose and Noel Tobin because I have followed them a little bit within KS Reality and the various KS platforms and KS Symbiosis, and there's a lot of different groups that are happening that have formed around the Keylontic Sciences and the MCEO. Thank you very much. And I will also express gratitude to Iesha. I know she is continuing to move forward in a way that feels in alignment with who she is, and I am in no position to question that or judge that. I have had no formal relationship with KS. As I said, I have my own independent relationship with the beloveds, and I have my own direct, clear line, direct cognition. And it is because of this that in 2017, I was introduced to new information. And I want to share with you all quite up front, I had no interest in the ascension chatter that was going on around me. I had my own work and career as an energy healer and a spiritual mentor. I traveled around the world for 10 years, holding workshops and retreats and bringing forward many, many, many energy techniques that were unknown to the earth environment before I brought them in. So in that sense, the guardians and I have that relationship where they have assisted me in teaching my own courses and bringing in techniques very different from what the contracted speakers have done, because I'm an energy healer. And so the techniques that I have brought through have been about energy healing. And that's another whole conversation. But again, a lot of that information is highlighted in my longer conversation with Christopher Comstock. So I wanted to begin there because I think I've been speaking about unity and diversity for 30 years. So I began doing my work before Ashayana and Michael Dean came on the scene. I began teaching my course, Living Lessons, in 1993. And I had my spiritual, profound awakening, just boom, 12D primal light currents just shooting right straight up through me in a couple of seconds in 1989, which then helped me understand, not in the moment, but living experientially, the relationship that I have with the guardians. So I'd also like to share with you that the way that I approach my work is experience first, that is followed by translating energy into explanation and or words and or technique and or activations of my own kind and or teaching night class on the inner planes for 30 years. So again, I came through, my birth body was born, and then in 1989, when I had my awakening, being fem-born, I had the experience of my greater being, my metagalactic being, merging into my birth body. That was an incredibly dynamic time, incredibly confusing, stupendously exciting, absolutely amazing, disruptive to my married and family life. Complicated. We all have these, we can have these complicated stories. However, I never wavered for my commitment to source or my commitment to my direct cognition guidance team. Trust them 1000%, and I'm very aware of my direct connection to source. I am someone who the Guardians and Ashayana Dean described as an Adachi adept, who has moved in and out of the manifestation dynamic 3 times or more. And I have all those gifts and abilities that come with that kind of activity at a soul and avatar level. And I also have the ability to move through timelines. I would qualify as a time master. When I arrived into the birth body that was prepared for my arrival in 1989, I arrived from far, far, far into the future. And my life has been just, there are no words to describe the life that I've lived. And I'm incredibly grateful for it. And I'm grateful to Source and the Guardians and to our planetary being Gaia for supporting me in all of that in such a lovely and sweet way. So that's the preamble. Next, I'd like to move on to just a quick reminder that in over the years, people had tried to introduce me to Ashayana Dean, and I just simply wasn't interested. I had my own thing going on, and I was quite satisfied with that. And I felt there were some issues from my discernment perspective that didn't quite mesh with me. And I just, I just left it in a kind of a neutral space. And then in 2017, I was contacted by the first of several fatally dark flower trackers. And that was the point at which my light body was fully activated, and it could actually be seen in videos and in conferences and in online events. And you could see my light body. It was highly visible. I didn't know it at the time because I just wasn't really interested and I wasn't paying attention. But it became relevant in 2018. So in 2017, the first of several fatally trackers contacted me via Facebook, and I want to caution you all about Facebook. Facebook is really become a very active platform for trackers to be able to spot, let's just call them Christics, who have a lot of power and shine. And this is visible on the video medium. And if you're in groups that are doing healing work or exploration of conscious evolution, you are absolutely exposing yourself to these fatally trackers. Now, those of you who are new to KS, you may not know about the fatally or the dark flowering externalization of Team Darks or the Metatronic difficulties that are working very hard to suck up as much power and shine from three-dimensional reality to use to take into their black hole system. So that's another assumption. That assumption is that you have some background information about this and you have a soul sense of truth that this is actually something that is happening now, and that if we're making the assumption that this is an ascension cycle, we have a context for why this is happening now. And we have to, if we're operating from those assumptions, the conversation that I'm going to have will make sense to you. If it isn't making sense to you, I would suggest that you really look at the KS newcomers information. But I'm going to try to unpack this very carefully for a number of reasons. So I just want to say that in 2017, I was contacted by the first fatally tracker through the medium of online social media. I will also say that in 1975, I was once again connected with a fatally tracker. And that was a very, very interesting story and extenuating circumstance, because I was aware that this person, this man, was going to be coming to meet me. I was aware that from my perspective, this was before my awakening, 1975. I was aware that there was something destined or fated about our coming together. And it has taken me many, 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 many years to fully unpack that relationship, which was, as all fatally relationships are, about seduce and destroy in the areas of love, sex, money, and power. And what is the attempt to destroy? The attempt is to destroy your connection to your own I am self awareness inside of you and your connection to source. That is what the fatally, with their dark flowered affliction, this is their goal. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, except to say that I've been building up through a number of these experiences so that I could learn, being an Adashi adept, I could learn, remember, bring the energy through to a different conclusion, to a Christic conclusion, and then to share the information as a book you can read, as conversations you can have with me, as coaching you can have with me, coursework, all of that. But 2017, after my marriage ended in 1989, after my awakening, I got divorced from that tracker who I was in relationship with and with whom I had a child. Very difficult time of my life, and it continued to generate a lot of pain and separation for many, many, many years. But I didn't know he was a tracker. I didn't understand the dynamic at all. Now I do. Time is healing. So 2017, I was contacted by a man who had been exposed to my work on Facebook, And we had a telephone conversation, and he was curious and wanted to see whether or not we had a connection that was interesting for both of us. And very early on, I began to feel him passing energy to me. And at one point, he left a message on Facebook when I went on to when I read the information. Literally, a ball, a soccer-sized ball of energy, hit me in my third chakra, and I was immediately like, "What is this? What is this?" And so, because I am a healer, and because I'd already had more than 25 years of working with energy, I was able to open that packet. It was a package of information from this fatality. And I was able to open that package of information, and in that package of information were some um, records from the Akashic records of myself and this person. And then I really understood that we had a past life dynamic, which was also based on seduce and destroy. And in that lifetime, I was also a feminine energy who had been seduced and destroyed and disempowered and publicly executed and all that good stuff. So it's okay, because at the end of following that execution and in moving into another lifetime timeline, I ended up taking that experience into a Christic resolution. And it served me very well, and it serves the world very well. Okay, so this packet of information opens up, and then I begin to explore this dynamic with this particular person. And as you will experience with a fatale, they don't really have, as Ashayana, my mailman, has explained very well, and I've organized some video clips that I will probably share as part of this communication. I may share them here. I'm recording this in Zoom. I may do some screen sharing with you, but I want to lay the background first. I have a couple of videos where this person is with me in some of the class recordings that I did. He was working to develop his own business as a coach. But I recognized early on there was something just not there, something off about him and his responses and his energy field, because I can read and see energy. I am telepathic. And so I was curious, because my intention was to heal the past life dynamic between us, because there was a karmic debt there. So I continue to stay open with great discernment and wonderful direct cognition, guidance, and insight from the beloveds on how to navigate that relationship. And did a lot of past life healing around that one particular situation. And then that occurred on a trip out of the country, and navigated through that, really coming to a Christic resolution, and being able to release that person and release myself and reclaim my quanta from that particular situation. And so I want to share with you why and how I'm giving that one example. I have several others, because it was at the conclusion, coming into the conclusion of that dynamic, that the guardians and the beloveds brought through, helped me bring through from my Adashi Adept information in other planes, including the deity planes. I brought through a line of frequencies, 48 different frequencies that were and are embedded in water, and that have helped a lot of people. And they are for sale. And I will say that even though they came through me and they contain my energetic signature, during these really intense dynamics with the Fatally trackers, which followed one after another, after another, after another, from 2017 right through this past summer of 3 years of tracker after tracker after tracker coming after me at specific points when my energy field and my bio-spiritual anatomy was sequentially waking up and maturing into its next level of functionality. This is key to the Fatally dynamic. They come at you, they want to get you just when your light body is ignited so that they can disrupt your potential for your light body coming into alignment with your spirit body. That's one of their objectives. Because if you are able to do that, then they're gonna have to do more, they're gonna have to expend more quanta, which they can't regenerate, to prevent you to get the dark flower going in you so that your own lotus anatomy can't activate properly. Okay? So let me just say that there. Now, I will come back to the conversation about the Fatally and the dark flower affliction, because this is my primary purpose for making this video, is that I have moved through all of that, and I have been given through the beloveds and through Source a way to clear that affliction. And I say this specifically because if you're aware of the dark flowering and the Fatally affliction and how it was set in motion in, I think, 2005. I'm not sure, but I know it was in the Sliders 12 workshop that this was being brought forward. And it was in an energy shift in terms of the indigo and violet and green shields and the shield split that happened in 2013, until the beloveds basically put that in front of my face in 2018 in a way that I couldn't. I had to look at it. I had to look at it. And I found in looking at the information, which was specific workshops, were just like, here, look at this, look at this. And in that process, I received tremendous validation for the experiences that I had been through, and didn't at all appreciate that they were part of a larger context, other than somehow they seem to be associated with both what's called the twin flame phenomena, and also with the ascension dynamics, which I had no interest in at all. Not interested, not thinking about it at all. Doing my healing work, working with my clients from the domain of conscious co-creation and healing and wounded emotional bodies, and transmuting pain bodies into wisdom bodies. So that was my work. I was doing it. I didn't, everything was okay. And these tracker situations continued to pop up. And they were the first one was very difficult to maneuver through. And I did get through that one. There was it was just so awful and so messy and so quanta consuming, but my whole life I have had, because of the Adashi Adept, I've been able to regenerate quanta, and I have plenty of it. And I have even more than I've ever had before, because I've had the personal experience on September 23rd of going into Starfire and going back into the hub as a conscious experience and coming back out again. So I'm saying this because I want you to know, if you continue on with your Keylontic Sciences and MCEO teachings as feels right and appropriate to you, these opportunities are available to you as well. And Ashayana and Michael both have asserted that. Despite the shield split, that assertion has always been there for everyone interested in the material that belongs to the guardians. And it does not belong to any one human being or any particular contractor. We need to be very clear about that. Information is is meant to be shared universally. And if people want to take that information and use it in a way that benefits them financially, well, there doesn't seem to be a problem with that. But it is not exclusive information available just to contracted speakers. So if I'm ruffling your feathers, oh well, I think you'll get over it. So one of the reasons I'm doing this now is not only because I've just come through the full healing of the dark flower awakening and setting it up in the morphogenetic field so that other people can clear this dark flower awakening, because while Ashayana goes into some detail about beam families and their vulnerabilities to the fatally dark flowering affliction because of the dynamic between aquary and equary, which if you go back and look at Sliders 12, you'll get the explanation for that in part 1 in the first 3 videos. So she talks about that in detail. She shares that. And she also says that in this last ascension cycle, that those themes in the Tantri Asia twin relationships are going to come home, but she doesn't say how. And I've looked at everything since then, and there was no information forthcoming from either Ashayana or the guardians, the beloveds, about the how. And I've just gone through the experience, and I have the how of clearing that affliction, and I am speaking now because I would like to share it with you. And because I've gone through Starfire now, there's not a lot that Team Dark can do to me to intimidate me or somehow think they're going to shut me up. It wouldn't work anyway, but that's why I'm speaking to you, because if you are aware that you have been, over this lifetime and other lifetimes, you are aware of the pain and heartbreak and separation that have come your way via the trackers seduce and destroy relationships. And again, let me be clear, this could be in the area of intimate relationships. This is where sacred sexuality is misused, and the co-creative energy of sacred sexuality is deliberately misused. Lust over love, yeah, many of us have been through that because we have power and shine. And when we have that and we're a Christic being, we don't separate our power and shine and our secret sexuality from our heart energy. It is the tracker who does that for us, does that to us, does that with us. You use whatever preposition you want to use, and you know, I'm not coming from a victimizer place. I'm in a great space right now. But let me just be very clear, this is really hard and it's really painful. And it is really possible for one of these trackers to take you down, to reverse, to put you in reversal, in Metatronic reversal. And I can tell you how that happens and which energy centers they're going to attack first. So there's so much information that I've actually just written 2 books about this. Okay, so now we have the context. And now you understand why I'm speaking with you, because if you're aware of the dark flowering affliction, and you're aware that it's possibly happening in you, then you have some new opportunities. So, little bing from my phone there. Now I'm again wanting to tie this into the shield split that happened in 2013, and I would love to, as an outsider who has now spent since 2018 countless hours going through workshop after workshop after workshop after workshop after workshop, archives that people have generously just given to me because the guardians have arranged that. Countless hours the last 2 years. So I'm not speaking to you from any kind of unfamiliarity about Helandic sciences or the MCEO teachings or Michael and Ashayana Dean or the perception that people have of Yesha that she was corrupted by the Budhara or some other team dark energies. All of that I am very aware of. And so recently I watched the amazing conversation that Chris Comstock had with Rose Tobin. And Rose, if you have an opportunity to watch this, I'd actually love to speak to you personally because I think there's a lot that we could share. And I so appreciated um, how you shared your experience and the position that you held in your experience. And one of the reasons I would love to speak to you is because if you have not personally had a tracker come after you and feel what that's like energetically, you wouldn't be able to appreciate the kinds of assaults and attacks that went on within the KS community. And I am a completely happy, healthy, incredibly healthy person. Certainly for my age, I am a mature senior citizen. Um, so one of the things that I really would love to do is highlight a perspective that shines some light on the shield split. And maybe it's time to find a way to bury that hatchet. Because if you're aware of the fatally dynamic and if you've experienced it personally, as I have with a partner who I felt being with him in energetic communion, sitting on the edge of a black hole that was in his energy field. And this was a person who in the 3D environment seems, you know, kind of a perfectly okay sort of guy. I mean, he's got quite a bit of male toxicity, but, you know, he's got a lot of company. If you haven't experienced it energetically in a way that you're awake to what is happening to you energetically, then there is no basis to be able to dismiss someone saying that they're being attacked. It is an attack. Now, how you handle that kind of an attack is another conversation. I have always gone, for me personally, my choice is to go into heart space, but I'm an Adashi adept. I can navigate that. The average human being who has not been back and forth to source three, 4 times wouldn't have the skills and also wouldn't have the discernment or the recognition and therefore be able to hold a more neutral space and to find a way into the third way, which is what I call working with Source and the beloveds. They help us find the third way, which brings us out of polarized positions, be they energetic, be they political, be they gender-based, be they philosophy-based, be they physics-based. Okay, I think that you all can follow me on this, that working with Source and the beloveds and the guardians and the higher councils and dimensions, whatever your perspective on them, if you take all of this into your heart space and your heart is open, you will feel the impulse to come out of polarity and to try to find the path of unity through not only diversity, but through difficulty. Certainly through the I think that it's kind of strange for me to do this in a vacuum. So what I would offer to the KS community is if anyone is interested in this, I would be happy to set up a Zoom session, which you're welcome to attend. Uh, there's no charge for it, to begin to bring this shield split and the fatally interference and the difficulties in the shields and carrying on through our missions because of intentionally directed energy of separation, reversal, but not to everybody. That's how they work. They don't do it to everybody. Some get assaulted and some don't. And I would give you, as a metaphor, and even as a living example, the COVID-19 virus is a production from Team Dark. It is a bioengineered weapon. And as we see the dynamic unfolding of the pandemic, it's clear that this is geared toward some genetics and others are being left out of it because it is a genetically engineered bioweapon that is designed to penetrate particular. Not everybody gets it. It doesn't make the virus invalid. It doesn't make it any less of a killer for the people whose bodies fill with blood clots so that they can't breathe and function and they die. It doesn't make it imaginary. Okay? So I'd like to have you consider COVID-19 in contrast and comparison with the fatally affliction. Not everybody gets dark flowered. But the people who do, it's the same kind of deal for them as the people who get affected and infected with the COVID-19 virus, right? So I want to bring that forward just to open a space of compassion and to open a space of maybe we can look at that whole time period between 2012 and where we are now with a different lens of perception. So I think because of I'm trying books about it, and it's a very personalized experience for me, I have enough language about conscious evolution. And I have to write a beautiful preface to my book full of acknowledgments for the people who've been involved, directly involved in the workshop container with the deans and with the guardians, and also in the new KDDL container, which I really don't have any interest in because it's moving people away from the body. And I will tell you that everything you need actually lives and exists in your physical body. So to take you out of it, to take you off into other environments isn't necessary. I mean, I just had Starfire happen and I was in my body the entire time. Went into the hubs, came back completely. I had to hang on by my fingernails because of the intense heat. I thought at one point I might spontaneously combust, but I didn't. And I got through to the hubs and I came back. Okay. And I'm rewriting code and doing all kinds of wonderful gifts that I'm coded for right now. And this is what our beloved Gaia needs. She needs us fully able to assist with the process and to hold gates open and to support each other. And just my personal opinion, I think people feeling still confused and mistrustful and not understanding what happened with Shield Split is very much mirrored in our global political environment now, where people are, and it's true, the spirals they've separated. The Christic spiral, there was another wonderful time leap for me on September 23rd. So it's not like this isn't really happening. We are aware that it is happening. But I think the more conscious we can be about what is happening, and more aware of how it's not only impacting us, but it's impacting our conscious communities, and how we really should spend a little extra time evaluating how we can come out of separation and come back into co-creative unity at such a critical time, such a very, very critical time. So I hope that you'll be interested in this. I would love to talk to you. I've had some opportunities. I pop in and out of KS, and I let people know what I'm doing. And I think it's difficult for KS and for the MCEO people to say, like, who is she? She wasn't in any of these workshops. Who does she think she is? What does she think she knows, right? I understand that that could be challenging. And, what have you got to lose by bringing your discernment and bringing your own sense of what is true and authentic and valid for you, and bringing that to an open conversation that may offer you a perspective that might be quite valuable. I don't consider myself an outsider. I'm from the deity planes. I've had my relationship with the guardians for many, 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 many eons. It's an old soul, as a monadic self. Outsider. I'm just someone who didn't attend the AS MCEO workshops because I was already busy doing my own teaching around the world, and those paths didn't converge until they needed to. And they needed to this year, and they have converged. So shout out to Chris Comstock, Rose Tobin. Thank you very much. I'm so appreciative of your clarity and your insight and your observations about what transpired and how it impacted you and the decisions that you made about your involvement. And I would just share with you that at this point, would it be possible for you to consider that that was engineered for you by the Fatali, although they didn't directly dark follow? I'm just going to, is that possible? Would you consider? And I hope to have an opportunity to speak with those of you who are concerned about your femme vulnerability and the Fatali. I mean, my own genetics are so crazy. I belong to every conceivable group, race line. My genetics are incredibly complex, just because I've manifested bodies here so many times over so many lifetimes. I've got the genetics down, and it's in my future life. It's actually one of the things that I work on. Is recoding and working on genetic coding from the future by coming back into the past. So, okay, again, this is Anna E. Salas, and I just want to extend such a warm digital hug to everybody in the KS community in all the various forms. And I want to give a special shout out to Michael Dean, Noel Tobin. There's some other people that I don't know that well, but it's a really lovely place for me to pop into and out of, to feel that there's a sense of ongoing community that are committed to some of you are committed to Asha Anadine as a person. I'm not. I'm committed to the guardians and to source. But everybody has their own choices to make around that. And those two things are not necessarily the same thing. So, and again, deep, deep appreciation to Ashana. And I'm not sure the name of her new partner. I don't know whether it's Jan or Andres, I don't know. But they have continued on in the way that they feel is useful to the ascension cycle. Or perhaps now it's just personally useful to them. And they got tired of not sleeping. I can really relate to that. Okay. Bye for now. If you're interested in becoming part of a larger conversation, please leave a comment. Let me know how I can get in touch with you. Obviously, I'd be able to get in touch with you on Facebook, but you have to know, because more than one tracker has found me, recognized my power and shine through Facebook. So I am really not a fan of Facebook, because I just don't want to have to sort through that kind of bullshit anymore. And it's out there. And I know from other friends, and particularly other women who are coded for Starfire, that they are constantly barraged with little energetic hooks from probably would-be trackers.